Hello and welcome to our daily sketching routine. It is Sunday, January 12th, 2025, and today's topic will be called Organizing Art Projects. And before we begin, welcome back if you are returning, welcome if you are new. I sketch and post every day, and I use timers to stay focused and to build a sketching habit. So I'll start a 10-minute timer. And you can use these videos as a way to build a habit or get ideas or work along, sketch along. So yeah, today we're going to be talking about organizing art projects, and I'll post a link in the description for this page here, which originally was last month, and I called it Planning Art Goals because it was the end of the year. And I'll talk a little bit about it, but if you want to know more, you can check out that video. There was a lot of information. And just to kind of illustrate the different points that I was making or concepts, I was sketching these little drawings, doodles, in perspective. And I'm just going to continue that. That'll be part of the sketching for today. And as I do that, one, it'll be a warm-up. And the other thing is, like I'll talk about it a little bit, but I'm going to focus on the projects part of this system. It's like a productivity system and self-improvement system. So just to kind of go over it real quick. So part of it is based off of Getting Things Done by David Allen, or GTD, but like with my customized towards myself. So I just wanted to share some ideas that I have, but it just depends on like how you do things, basically. Like you can customize it, and that's why I like GTD. So it has these different horizons of focus. So I just think terms like that kind of fit my mentality anyway, because since I draw, just having like a horizon line and stuff. So yeah, there's purpose, vision, goals, life areas. I call it life areas, but it's responsibilities, and then projects, and then actions. And so I'm going to focus on projects because I feel like that's kind of the missing piece for me personally. And so it's still something that I'm working on. And so some of what I'm going to talk about today is a work in progress, but I mean, it always kind of is. So yeah, to begin with, I'll start sketching. So if you want to just use this as a kind of a sketch along. So what I'm going to do is, I know that there's people who want to draw comics, such as myself, that watch these videos. I'm going to put stuff like this in basic drawing. I don't really want to create a new playlist because in a way this is sort of artist life. I was thinking that that's what a playlist could be called, but I'm just going to put it in basic drawing for now because I feel like this is the basics, and I'll just sketch like the basics. So for example, if you want to continue something like this sketch right here, if you keep the horizon line, then you can continue it, and you can either use a pencil or lightly sketch and just extend the vanishing points like that and keep things in perspective. And you can eyeball it. I guess that's the point I'm making here. And if you want it to be more precise, you could use a ruler. But a lot of times, like if you're drawing a comic, this is fine. So I'm just going to use this as a guide for the title here, projects. And yeah, I'm just going to doodle as I'm talking about this. So yeah, according to this system, you have what I call the life areas, and again, I go into more but really I am going to make more videos about this kind of thing, because sometimes that's the best thing to do. And then, yeah, like actions are kind of the most basic. They're like your to-dos, they're your tasks. And what I have found is that I'm pretty good at doing the actions. So actions are things like right now I'm sketching. So an action is something like that. Like you could put down as a to-do to like sketch, for example, and you could be more specific. You could say sketch for, like right now I have a 10-minute timer going. You could say sketch for 10 minutes. So that's what an action is. And then the way I kind of conceptualize it is, if there's a bunch of actions that you're taking, then I call it like an activity, basically. That's what I call it. So as I'm doodling, I'm kind of keeping in mind perspective. Just if you're curious, if you're wondering. But this is kind of a way to do it freehand without rulers. But I mean, you could be more, if you wanted to look more precise, you could. Or if you're just, yeah, like freehanding. So yeah, a bunch of actions, like I call that like an activity. And so the life areas could be, so basically I call it that because I kind of divide my life into different areas, and like this is what works for me. Again, there's more detail in the other video, but however you want to divide it, that works for you. But I basically think about like just the different areas in my life that would be balanced. Now I'll do another video that talks about priorities, because that's an important part of all of this, but it kind of needs its own video. So yeah, in the life areas you could have activities, and it could be something like you could call it like art, or you could call it it depends on the life area. So with finance, for example, or money, it could be called like budgeting or something like that. So for example, when I'm coming up with these ideas, like working on a planning, and like planning is an activity. And so I have a life area that I call thought, but it could be whatever, but like that's what I call it, the mind, planning, but the activity is planning. And then, like I was saying, projects was sort of the missing piece for me, because I would kind of go back and forth between different activities, and then the action is the actual thing that's happening. So that's the action, such as sketching. And so I was getting pretty good at that. But then the projects are important because, one, in GTD it's called open loops. And so what happens is that, yeah, it kind of like nags on your mind because it's not finished, or yeah, it's just in different stages of completion. And so if it's not organized, then you sort of subconsciously think about it, which is like an open loop, in other words. So maybe in this sketch here, so the projects could be, they could have like smaller sub-projects. So sometimes it's just fun to, when you're learning about perspective and stuff, to just draw these boxes and just to see what it looks like. So since I called it organizing art projects, now this could be used for any project, but I'm going to just use that as an example. So part of why I want to focus on this is because like this week I started acrylic painting, and I'm not done with it, and so that's like an open loop. And so I'll just kind of talk about kind of how projects sort of work according to this methodology, and also how I'm working on it for basically this year, because some of these things, they like there's the idea of analysis paralysis, where you can plan it, spend so much time planning, which is important, but like it's a form of procrastination and stuff. So with that said, it's good to plan, but then it's also good to implement it and practice it and give it some time to see like what works and what doesn't. And that's why, for example, if something is working, I keep it going for a while. So for example, like the playlist that I have, like all the videos I post are in there somewhere. Sometimes they're in a couple of different playlists, but I'm not going to spend so much time trying to have like the perfect playlist, because the main thing is the making the videos and having good information in the videos. So I'll just use the example of the acrylic painting, the piece. So I did that this week earlier, and the piece isn't finished, and so I put it away. And that's what I mean. It's like if I don't have a system to organize my projects, it's gonna kind of subconsciously nag. I won't be able to focus on other stuff. So right now, so I don't have it, I'm still working on the system for myself, and so this is what is helping me, and so it might give you some ideas. I'm not saying that like everyone should use the same system. So what I'm doing is I created a list, like a blank list, and I'm going to I've started to list every project and not worry about like organizing it just yet. And so that's just going to be my master list of projects. So that's like the first thing that I started to do. And yeah, like that's the first step, is to just write down everything that is a project. And then the next question might be, well, what is a project? So a project is basically like several actions. So as long as there's more than one action and it has an outcome, meaning, so for example, like that painting, meaning that you have to be able to say that it's finished at some point, it's complete. So without that, then it's not really a project. And so that's what unifies like the actions. It's the fact that there's an objective. Otherwise, it's just kind of random actions. So for an example would be, like, I'm never going to finish sketching. Like, so that's why I call it an activity. And specifically sketching for 10 minutes. But a project could be to complete a sketchbook. So you see how that works. So like this sketchbook would be a project. And yeah, I just created a master list, and I'm writing everything down just to see, rather than try to organize it, just to look at what are the projects. So finishing this sketchbook is a project. And if I don't organize that, then what happens is that, because I don't know when I'm going to finish it, I mean, you could put a deadline on projects, and the point is that it would lag if it's not on a list somewhere. At least for me, it would kind of bother me in a subconscious kind of way. It's an open loop, as it's called. So yeah, that's kind of how projects work. And then just going back to like the art projects. So art is a kind of project. For that, because if I were to explain it to someone, I would say, yeah, like that painting is an art project that I have. Painting is a kind of art project. So art is a kind of project, and then painting is a kind of art project. So maybe I can jot that down somewhere here. So maybe we'll call it art right here. So one of these smaller blocks. And then within that, so part of this is I'm just kind of playing around with perspective. And yeah, just like freehanding the perspective. So I'm going to call this painting. So yeah, projects, and then like art is a kind of project, and then painting is a kind of art project. And then within that would be a like acrylic painting. Within that could be several acrylic paintings. For now, I just have that one, and I'm just going to keep it that way. I think the main thing is that because I have that painting, I just wanted to point out that I didn't do this beforehand. And so it's important for me to have a system that is spontaneous enough to where I can just do something, such as take action right here, which is what I did. I took action, meaning I just did that painting because I wanted to. I felt inspired to. And then now I'm going back and organizing it. And I feel like it's important to be able to be spontaneous in that kind of way. But notice that the life areas, which I have a life area called vocation. And again, you can call it whatever. That's just what stuck with me over the years, because art is my calling. That's how I think of it. I usually like to reflect on this kind of thing and plan on it at least once a week, and do a little bit every day. But stuff like this, implementing it takes time. I just do it incrementally. I've worked on this for years. What was I saying about, oh yeah, so the life areas such as vocation. So vocation is a kind of area in my life, or something that I take responsibility for, and vocation is a type of life area. And then within that are projects. And then the activities are things like art or writing or music within like the vocation. I do talk about it more in that other video. But yeah, like I said, the projects is something that I'm currently focused on, because that was sort of the part that I was kind of vague about. And right now, just to get started, I create so this could be like the master list right here. So just to indicate that they could just be smaller sections here. So right now I'm just putting all projects, like anything in here. So like my YouTube channel is a project also, mainly because if there's an objective, and also if it can be completed, it's basically a project. And if it takes several actions, that's like the main thing. Like I said, I'm still working on it, so I'm listing everything out and then not worrying about organizing it just yet. And then some things will be, so the way I tend to do stuff is whatever is already working or whatever I'm already doing, I look at that, and then I start to develop like I have like a framework, and then just to see like what the stuff I'm already doing and working. So just to kind of close out this video, I'll talk about, for example, working on my channel, my YouTube channel, since it's something that I've already been doing for several months now. So it's a vocation thing, because vocation could also be called career. I don't call it that because I feel like career is a facet of vocation, of my vocation. Because, for example, the reason I say that is because I'm not currently, like, I don't have an art job, which career kind of implies, but then I'm still doing art, and so that's why I call it my calling or my vocation. I just like that term because it works for me, and plus there's like I talked about, like avocation, which is included. So it kind of goes back and forth sometimes. So avocation is you're not getting paid or something, or like a hobby. But anyway, my point is not to get lost in these semantics, but rather it's something I'm doing anyway. I'm already doing it. Like, I've been doing it. So yeah, that's what I've been doing over the past several months, is just recording, and I post every day, like I said, and then yeah, I would have like YouTube within that. If that makes sense. Again, I wouldn't worry so much about this at first, but it's kind of good to, I mean, these are just ideas. It may not work for you, but I'm used to it. Like, it works for me, but that's why I'm listing everything. So the main thing is just to jot it down on a list, and every project goes in there. Anything that seems like a project, such as finish this sketchbook. So I'll just put finish sketchbook, and then I'll kind of tag it basically as like it's an art project, and not worry about the number of projects, and not worry about anything else really, because these are things I'm already doing, and I think that's the main thing. Hopefully you can kind of see how you can, this might be helpful if you're drawing a comic, which, I mean, I'm working on also. So that's like a project, and so I just think it's good to list it, because otherwise it'll just be kind of in your mind, like, oh, I want to do that, or you're vague about it. I feel like you don't even have to attach a deadline. As long as it's on the list, it helps. So maybe I'll just change this to say comic. But yeah, the vocation, the life area, is actually higher up than this part, the projects. But I think the main takeaway is to have a list. That's like the thing, and then that helps. I mean, that's probably the most basic element, and then from there you can kind of organize it more, plan it out more than that. Don't get bogged down by planning. The main thing is like working on it. The life areas is really to balance it out, and like I said, I'll do a video about priorities, because it's still something that I'm learning about, because priorities is one of those things, it's a life kind of thing. So for example, when you're younger and you're in school, your priorities is to go to school, and then later your priority is like your job, relationships and stuff, which, I mean, it still is. That's why it's a life area. I mean, you still have responsibilities, but then like something that happened for me was about a year ago, or in 2023, I mentioned how that was like the hardest year of my life, even though I've had a lot of like challenging years, but it just culminated. And part of that was physical ailments. The point is, then it became a priority, because it was constantly, I had to deal with it every day, like every moment of every day. So that's kind of what I mean. It's stuff like that's a priority, and so it doesn't really matter what else you're doing. That's going to be the main thing. It's still good to, just to kind of close out this video. Basically, there were times where I didn't have as much time to work on my art, is what I'm saying, and I just still I still had a plan, and I still had a system, and I stuck with it. But maybe on like in one day I might just be able to sketch for 5 minutes, and it may not seem like much, but like if I didn't do it at all, I just wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now, is what I'm getting at, because I kind of kept the fire burning, so to speak, but like I had other priorities. But now this has become the priority. But yeah, that'll be another topic about setting priorities and stuff. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. It's a lot of information. Let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for joining me for our daily sketching routine. And if you like these videos, please support the channel. I really appreciate it. And until next time, keep on sketching.